have you seen all these videos of black people looting and stealing stuff from all these expensive stores? All of them are in it for their own personal gain. None of them even care about Black Lives Matter and all stuff.
Yeah, so I actually wanted to talk to you about that because you've made similar comments in the past.
Okay.
I feel like what you're saying is kind of unfair to Black people. I mean, I've seen some videos like that, but I've also seen lots of peaceful videos. When those white people stormed the Capitol, they were basically left alone. But when Black people demonstrate peacefully asking not to get killed by cops, then it's not okay? I was at the hospital at the ED with my attending, and I saw multiple protesters come in with injuries from getting beaten by the police. And one woman even lost her eye because of a rubber bullet. The police are supposed to protect the community, but instead they're attacking the community when they're standing there with signs asking for people not to kill them.
No, I've seen so many videos of them just stealing and destroying all the hard work that all those people have put in. Black people are so violent, and the cops try to do their best, and they just steal and fight even more. Like, think about how much work these people put into the businesses, and then one morning they're just sweeping up broken glass and everything's gone.
Hey, that's not true. Black people are not more violent. That's a racist stereotype. George Floyd had his life destroyed, and you don't care. All you talk about is destroyed property. And I don't understand why you're so focused on the looting. You're letting that overshadow the fact that the protests are about police brutality.
Well, when they get violent and start destroying and stealing, it's hard to take the message seriously. If Black people want the movement to be taken seriously, it's just not a good look.
Oh my God, Black people shouldn't
And
need
how is
to.
something going to advance if all they're doing is burning down their own businesses? You know, it would destroy us and our family right now if our restaurant got looted. I don't think you understand how hard I've worked and how much I've given up to build a business to provide for our family.
Yes, it would be terrible for us, but it wouldn't actually destroy us. Like, I know you've put everything into the restaurant, but even if it burned to the ground, we could still rebuild it.
No.
Lives are irreplaceable, and that's exactly why people are protesting. I can't believe that you're so wrapped up in how people are protesting when they're getting killed by the police.
If they weren't doing anything wrong, then the police wouldn't bother them. And the restaurant got looted, it would actually destroy us. You don't know anything about what it's like. How we pay back our loans. You've never had to slave away to pay the bills. You're so naive and ignorant. And after everything we've been through this year.
Dad, that's exactly it. You were so upset when people stopped coming into our restaurant because they said that we had coronavirus. Can't you see that that's part of the same racism that Black people face? Why can't you care more about just how we're doing? You wanted white people to stop thinking that all Asians had the coronavirus. I just want you to stop thinking that all Black people are violent criminals.
All right, let's freeze and let's process together. So want to talk about like what is going on in the conversation. Maybe like we go to Dad. Like you look pretty upset just now. What was going on?
It's really frustrating that my daughter doesn't understand like how dangerous these protests are and how like there's destroyed so much businesses and property is being destroyed. Like lots of people have worked really hard for their businesses to succeed, and we worked really hard for our business to succeed. She has no idea what it's like to work. She's just gone to school her whole life, and she doesn't understand how like these protests could really destroy like our livelihood and even our ability to even put her through school.
Okay, so it sounded like your frustration kind of coming from the worrying about the safety and like the lack of understanding of where you're from. Okay, all right. So it's the same question to Jennifer. You look pretty upset there too while we were talking. And what was going on? What do you think what was going on?
Yeah, I mean, I get where Dad is coming from, but every time we talk about this stuff, it's always the same things. He's always worried about like the businesses that are like being looted or like property that's being destroyed, or he always focuses on like the finances. And it's really frustrating for me for him to not be able to step back and see the bigger picture of like the reason why people are having these protests or that they're losing their lives. you know, but he always fixates on the same things. And it makes me upset because he's someone that I look up to. And it's just really distressing to me that his views are so different from mine, and frankly, views that I think are wrong. So yeah, it's just really frustrating to talk to him about these kind of things.
Okay, so sounded like how you perceive what Dad did, like also kind of feeling you guys are talking in different channel, like the values are quite different, what matters to you are quite different. Okay, so now we know where we stand. All right, so today we're going to practice a new way to communicate, especially for difficult conversations such as Black Lives Matters in Asian American family, where we might have quite different cultural core belief, depends on our experience, shape the way how we see things. And this technique called non-judgmental exchange of narrative. So why don't we, Jennifer and I, practice how that works in front of Dad and show how it works. And then in the next version, Jennifer will practice it directly with Dad in this conversation. Does it sound like a plan?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So I will invite Dad to be an active observer and see like how that goes for each of the steps. All right, so this step like come with 7C as the acronym. And so for the first one, step 0 is calibration. So you know that like when we are so agitated and like we just cannot really get a point through each other's mind. So we need to calibrate our emotion. So we talked about our emotion just now and want to kind of like be more descriptive about that, like verbalize, put that into word to describe our emotion. So Jennifer, share to Dad what exactly how you felt just now when you talk about Black Lives Matters issue.
Yeah, I mean, Dad, we talk about this and I just feel frustrated and I get angry, I get upset. I feel like I'm kind of talking to a wall. We can never really agree on things when we talk about this. And yeah, like what I talked about before, it's upsetting to me because I look up to you, you know, you're my dad. But I think the way that you think about things is so different from how I think about things. And I wish we could kind of let each other see where we're coming from. But most of the times we don't. So it's upsetting. I feel angry when I talk about this, and I feel like our conversation doesn't go anywhere.
Okay. I sense like not only frustration, but also maybe the differences kind of lead to some disappointment and kind of hopeless, that kind of feeling, right? It's not going through this conversation, just like kind of, okay. All right, so what Jennifer have to say, and now let's move to the next step, uncover. So the C come from uncover the honest opinion. So if I give you a scale 0 to 10, 0 is totally not supporting, 10 is supporting Black Lives Matters. Well, how would you rate your opinion about the support level of support?
I think I'm like 9 out of 10 right now.
9 out of 10. Okay. Can you explain where that 9 is coming from?
Yeah. I think I feel more strongly about it now because one of my best friends in medical school is Black, and like we started at the same hospital and everything. You know, we went to class together, and the other day she was in clinic, and I came in, and she was really, really upset. And I kind of asked her like what was going on, and she told me that she had just finished seeing a patient, but the visit was short because the patient didn't want to see her because she was Black. And she was kind of having this moment of distress while in the clinic. And it just like really hurt to see my friend have to deal with that. You know, like she's incredibly smart. She's amazingly kind. She's going to be a fantastic doctor. And we're at the same place. And yet the patient doesn't want to see her because she's Black, and they don't see anything besides what she looks like. And so I think I feel really strongly now about Black Lives Matter because like one of my friends is affected by this. And I've seen like how like it impacts her mental health. It impacts how she interacts with other people and might in the future with her future career. So that's why I feel like right now I'm a 9 out of 10.
Okay. So this is pretty strongly supporting that. And actually, like, we are going into the next step, which is exactly what you talked about. Like, the next step is connect. So really, like, sharing your experience about someone connected to you, someone that matters to you, who is being impacted by Black Lives Matters. And you just talk about it, you know, like someone who are so connected to you, and you see that they're suffering, you are able to see that in the shoes. And so it is a little bit easier to connect with African American people. So would you be able to tell me a little bit more about your friends?
Yeah. So, like I said, her name's Kimberly. We're like best friends. We did everything in med school together. We're in rotations together, surviving. And yeah, I just was really that day in clinic when she was just so distressed. It really just kind of made me think about, like, these people, like, they just, like, one look at them can kind of influence what people think about them. And I think that's really powerful. And I just never really kind of thought about that before. And because I frankly, like, don't really have to deal with that. Like, to be honest, like, I walk into clinic and people see that I'm Asian, and it's kind of expected that I'm, you know, in the healthcare field. But for someone like her, who's had to, you know, fight a lot of roadblocks to get to where she is, and to be in the same place of privilege that I am, and still have someone say, I don't want to be seen by you because you're Black. That just made me really angry. And I couldn't believe I couldn't celebrate with my friend that we had made it to clinicals. I had to kind of console her and tell her that, you know, she was going to get through this and she's going to be a great doctor. It just made me really angry and upset. And I think that's what I want my dad to kind of see, that, like, they affect people that we know and that we love. And that's why I feel so strongly about it.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly what we're trying to show in front of that too, right? Like, that you can see that, like, for someone that Jennifer cares so much, and she's able to go into her shoes to be angry for her, to be, like, feeling upset about why she is suffering this way. So I think that's really meaningful to discuss this. Okay, so the next step is about compassionate. So when would be a time someone who show compassion to you when you really need to help, you know, at the moment when you were vulnerable, you need someone stood up for you, someone give you a hand, regardless of who you are, regardless of how you look or where you're from. Can you think of a moment like that?
Yeah, actually, so before we're able to do blood draws on everyone, on patients, they kind of make us practice on ourselves. And I was super scared and terrified when we started, because uncle had actually just died of a blood clot recently. And one of the, like, very rare side effects of, you know, a really bad blood draw is that you can get a clot. And so I was terrified, like, this entire period. And I think, like, the fourth time that we had to do it, the girl who tried to draw blood on me did a super bad job. My arm was, like, black and blue, and I was terrified. And I went to the professor and kind of told her, like, my situation. And she made it so that that same girl we would never practice together again. And I didn't realize how much relief that would bring for my anxiety. And she kind of made my, like, learning environment better for me. I wasn't as anxious to do, you know, get blood draws or practice on other people. And it was just, like, a very subtle way that someone helped me out. And I really appreciated it.
Yeah. So it sounded like, you know, you are in the shoes of, like, receiving side of the compassion, and you really appreciate it when someone helped you. And that is regardless who you are and how you look, and you really appreciated that. Okay. Then the next step, we're talking about concerns. So what exactly would be your concern about supporting Black Lives Matters? Like, you are giving 9 out of 10 instead of 10 out of 10. What would be some little reservation there?
Yeah. So one of the things that, like, I can kind of see more where Dad is coming from is, like, the safety issue. Like, a lot of the protests that we see are peaceful, but there are like the very few that, you know, have like violence in them. And that is something that I am worried about, you know, going out to these protests. And there is that potential for that to happen. So that is something that I can kind of see from his side why he's worried about. And I think that's one of the things that make me a little bit more reserved about it. So yeah.
Okay. So also want to show it to Dad too. It looks like, you know, like your daughter actually is aware about the safety, but it seems that seemingly like something really strong that she supported outweigh the awareness of the safety. She's aware of that. She's not like totally ignorant about the safety. So okay, so we are in some common point here. So the next thing is like really making the case. You know, it sounded like Jennifer, you support the Black Lives Matters. You know, you believe that, you know, African American, just like someone who is your best friend in the medical school, they deserve to be treated equally, you know, respectfully and compassionately in the community. Just like when at some time you need help by other people too, who did not judge you as how you look and where you're from. And so this is like really like the summary of like what kind of collect everything together and make the case. And the last part is really making a conclusion. If we go back to the scale 0 to 10, again, 10 is totally not supporting, 10 is totally supporting. How would you rate your support of Black Lives Matters right now?
Yeah, so I mean, I think I'm still at a 9, but kind of working through this exercise helped me kind of remember why this is so important to me, like thinking about my friend Kimberly and all the, you know, things that she's had to go through, but also like realizing that like I do have some common ground with my dad in terms of what we're concerned about. So I think I'm still at a 9, but it's helped me appreciate more like why I feel so strongly about this and why I want to talk to my dad about this.
I see. I think there's a really good reflection as well for you and for Dad to see how it works. And so it sounds like you guys are ready to really talk about it using this new technique. All right, let's try again.
Have you seen all those videos of people looting and stealing stuff from all those expensive stores? All the protesters are in it for their own personal gain. None of them even care about Black Lives Matter and all this stuff.
Yeah, I actually wanted to talk to you about that.
Okay.
Okay, so on a scale of 0 to 10, how much do you support the Black Lives Matter movement? Where 0 is totally against it and 10 you're totally for it.
3.
Okay, what makes you say a 3?
They're just like destroying all these businesses, and like when you do that, those people lose all the hard work they put into them. They can't feed their families. Their employees can't feed their families, and they're just disrupting everything. It's just really dangerous. People are getting hurt. I don't like that.
Yeah. Okay. So what things do you like about it?
Well, that George Floyd guy, he's definitely a criminal. He was using fake money, and I'd be angry if someone using fake money at our restaurant, but like I don't think they should have killed him for it.
Yeah. Dad, what's your experience like with Black people? Do you know any Black people?
Only as customers, none personally.
Not even like an acquaintance?
Nope.
Okay. So what role do you see Black people playing in our community?
I don't know. I guess they're all right. A bunch of them come in for barbecue on the weekend, and they just, I don't know, they work hard, menial jobs like me. Actually, the bus driver in the morning is Black.
Oh yeah? Tell me about the bus driver.
He's always nice. He says good morning and smiles every day. I think he actually remembers all the people on his route. He's been doing it for so long. This is there on time. Good guy.
So, Dad, I wanted to talk to you about Black Lives Matter today because my friend Kimberly is Black. And do you remember how excited I was to go start medical school and start at the hospital and see patients and everything?
Yeah, you were so excited. I was so proud of you.
Yeah, well, Kimberly was really excited too. We actually started off together on the same floor in the same hospital. She was telling me about how this patient one day didn't want to see her because they didn't want a Black person treating them. And the attending physician didn't even stick up for her at all. She looked devastated. Like, she was upset and she was insulted because she worked so hard and got into this place, the exact same place that I'm at, and it didn't matter. It just totally undermined everything that she worked for.
Well, what do you mean it undermines everything she worked for? She's gonna be a doctor, right?
Yeah, that's true. But I think it was so upsetting and discouraging because it was a reminder that even if she's a super intelligent, highly trained doctor, people just look at her and they see that she's Black and they think that she's not smart enough or that she's not even the doctor. And it also sucks because she's a member of our school. So when the doctor in charge didn't even back her up, it felt like our school wasn't backing her up.
Yeah, okay, I get that. Like, she's hardworking and smart, and that people don't want her to see them because she's Black. That sucks.
Yeah, exactly. So, Dad, I'm talking to you about this because I wanted to talk to you about how we treat everyone in our society, including Black people, because we've all faced tough times and needed others. I mean, I remember when I was doing my training for blood draws, the rule was that we all needed to go and take turns with each other. And if you wanted to practice, you had to be willing to have your blood drawn. But you can get a clot when you mess up. It's super rare, but this was right after Uncle had died from his blood clot, so I was super worried. And maybe during the third time, I think the girl that drew my blood did a really bad job. Like, I had bruising for a week after, and it really freaked me out.
Mm-hmm.
I was feeling so anxious about it. Like, I just saw this happen to Uncle, So even though I needed the practice, I was just going to give up because I didn't want to risk getting another bad draw. So I talked to the teacher about it privately just so she knew where I was coming from. And she seemed disappointed, but just said okay. And she never made a big thing out of it. But what I realized afterwards was that she never paired me with that girl again. And by doing that, she allowed me to keep practicing. And it reduced so much of my anxiety and stress and just made learning so much easier.
Uh-huh.
So, when was a time when someone showed you compassion when you really needed it?
Uh, hmm. Okay, well, when I first immigrated here, I was working in this little restaurant as a waiter, and I couldn't speak English at that point. I felt like the owner kept she was taking advantage of me because I didn't know what the laws were, and she was keeping. I was a waiter, and she was keeping all the tips, so I lost all the money that I would have made from the tips because she was trying to take advantage of me because I was new to this country.
That's terrible, Dad. I can't believe that happened to you. How did that make you feel?
It felt terrible. I felt so angry and powerless. The hourly wage for waiters is so low. It's $2.13 at that point. I was just your mom was pregnant with you, so I was so worried about being able to pay for things, and to find out she was keeping all the money from me.
Did anyone help you?
Yeah. There was this. So I didn't know I was supposed to keep the tips, but sometimes the owner would be gone, and I chat with the customers, and I found out from a regular that the tips are supposed to go to the waiters, and I got upset, but I didn't know where I could go and find another job. And this guy, he said, "Hey, I remember how hard it was when I got to this country," and then he offered to take me to a couple of restaurants and help me find another job. And a couple of days later, I had a new dishwasher job. It was way better, and they weren't cheating me out of my money.
Wow, that guy was so nice to you. How did that make you feel?
I just felt so relieved. It was still hard, but I was making like 2 or 3 times as much as I was at the first job. I was really thankful that even though he barely knew me, he like took time to help me out when I really needed it.
Thanks for sharing that with me, Dad. So, earlier, you talked about the violence and the looting from the protests as something you were worried about, right? Can you tell me more about why you're worried about them?
I've seen so many people, like, I've seen so many videos of people just stealing and destroying all the hard work that all those people have put in. Like, think about how much work these people put into their businesses, and then one morning they're just sweeping up broken glass and everything's gone. It would destroy us and our family right now if our restaurant got looted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's because not everyone knows someone who's Black, so that not everyone knows that most Black Americans actually also oppose the looting and violence, and lots of them also have small businesses, just like you, or they work at tough jobs, just like you did when you were a waiter. Most of them are actually protesting peacefully because they're worried about people they love getting killed by the cops. Black Lives Matter is fighting for Black people to be respected and treated with compassion so that they don't have to worry about being killed by cops. I think that's important to support because I want everyone in our community, including the Black people like my friend Kimberly and your customers and the bus driver, to be treated with compassion and respect from everybody and not need to be afraid of violence from the police. That Kimberly's my closest friend in med school. I would never want anything to happen to her, and I just want her to be okay.
Okay. Never really thought about it like that.
Thanks for talking, Dad. So if you go back to the 0 to 10 scale, where 0 is totally against and 10 is totally for, how do you feel about Black Lives Matter now?
I think I'm a 7. Yeah, a 7.
What makes you say you're a 7 now?
I just feel like people deserve to be respected. It's only right. Everybody should be able to be like respected and not have to worry about cops killing them